I don't know if that's enough to stop it. I might have to have a look at the impeller as well. We'll see. I've got more go. And we might start her up and see what happens. And welcome to Venice. I'm on my own here this week. Judy's back in the UK, but she'll be here at the end of the week and we can go exploring. Until then, I'm doing a few boat jobs and recovering from our whirlwind trip through Croatia, which is what you'll see in this episode. I hope you like the film.
Coming up, walking in water with a little help from a mooring line. Visiting the most beautiful ancient monument in Croatia. And arriving in Venice, our new winter home. The coast of Croatia, green, imposing and ancient.
What do you reckon it is?
Fort.
Why?
Flatty windows.
Oh yeah, slatty windows. Must have been. It's pretty old then, because that's slatty windows for arrows.
Yeah. Or someone who didn't want waves coming through their windows of their house.
It's very old, actually, built in 1470 as the summer villa of the Archbishops of Zadar. It's also a fairway from where we're anchored. But one of the advantages of having a dinghy is towing. Zadar is a perfect place for anchoring, and when on shore, sundowners. The town has recently developed, becoming Croatia's capital of cool. And while tourist numbers are down because of COVID restrictions, the old town is still thriving. Oh yes, and they sell great ice cream.
Ice cream.
I guess I've been caught out. Early evening is the most popular time to be out and about, not least because of this. Listen. That's a sea organ. Built in 2005, it has a series of pipes tuned to make harmonic sounds from the waves lapping against the promenade. It sounds a bit like whale music. Round the corner is a light show, also powered by nature, so a different pattern is thrown up every night.
Oh, it's solar powered, is it?
Solar powered, yeah. It just charges through the day and then releases it all at night. Same designer as made the organ.
Reminds me of discos in the 70s. This is where we are. After leaving Split, where we picked up Millie, we're hugging the coastline up to Zadar. Then we have a bit of time to explore the islands before crossing to Venice. Our plan is to cross from Pula on an overnight sail in a few days' time. But first the islands, what can I say? With a bit of wind in the sails, it's just idyllic. And a good time to fish.
So, Dad, are you going to have some more success this time?
Yes, I think you would have brought me luck, hopefully. Something needs to. We haven't done very well catching.
How many fish have you caught on 3 years of living on this boat?
In 3 years living this boat, I think we've caught about 3 or 4 fish.
So a fish a year?
Yeah, fish a year.
Did I tell you when my friends came to visit, they said, oh, so do they just live on fish and the occasional groceries then? I think you'd be very thin.
Yeah, we would have starved if that was the case. But I've had information from people that know, and I've got some different methods now. So this is something James, who was the guy that we met in Mahon, said is good, although they're better if they're pink, apparently. He has one that's sort of got pink
Like
feathers
tinsel.
on. Well, no, it's like feathers. They're like little feathers,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, I've stayed away from these because he's got these great big hooks. But you don't sort of tend to get the little mackerels and things here. You get sort of big tuna and things like that.
So if this goes well, we're having tuna sweet corn for lunch.
Tuna sweet corn
If
for
it
lunch.
doesn't go well, we bought tins of tuna, so we're still having tuna
We're
sweet
still
corn for
okay,
lunch.
yeah. And we've got some sardines, so we're all right either way. But you got this that's like a little surfboard that takes it down, which I have tried before. I had these before and caught mackerel with these before. It sort of pulls it down. So check that over. We'll let it load out. And the other thing that I found out that you should do, because I have had ones before where we've lost the whole rig, so something big has got it and it's just taken everything. And I think
Probably
what happens,
a boot.
it might be, but I think what happens is that when these, if we're going so slowly, it's not actually paying up. Go on, go back. What happens is that when a big fish comes and grabs it, it basically just, if it comes up against something really hard, it either rips it out of its mouth or it breaks it. So you need to have some elastic. And I had this thin piece of elastic on it, and James said no, he has a thicker bit of elastic, but it's a bungee, so I have that.
So now we've got both.
And once this is all the way out, I get to a bit where there's a loop, and I just put that around it. Let's go the right side of the guard wire. Lay that out. And actually what I tend to do is get a peg and peg that up there. And then if something gets it, it'll go and go flying, and the peg goes flying off. So we'll get a peg and we put that on there. So that's out.
why you have no pegs left.
Yes. And the other thing I was told to do, this is actually one of our viewers that said have something out the back, because James had this thing, a special thing that you tow and it flaps around and makes splashes on the surface, and fishes, the big fishes down low think it's little fishes on the surface. So you can get one of those, but I haven't been able to get to a fishing tackle shop. So someone said, well, just get some bits of cedar. Don't know why cedar. One of our viewers this was, and hang them out, string them out the back. Well, I don't have any bits of cedar, but I have got a ruler. No ruler. So chuck that over. And
I think that any fish that saw that
Tow
would
this
think it
along.
was a shark and stay well away.
you sort of tow it along, and I mean, if we were actually moving this in waves, it sort of does sort of flit around a bit. And I've put some bits of silver tape on it, stuck to it so it glints. So we're bound to catch fish.
OK, tinned tuna it is then. There's always tomorrow. What's great about Croatia are all these little fishing villages and lovely walks around the anchorages. There's Fair Isle.
Well, it's just gone 6 o'clock now, so we're out for a walk. Bit cooler, so we can have a stroll. But what's overwhelming is the smell of rosemary. It's just stunning. There's also lots of olive trees, though I'm not sure I'd want to come and pick them necessarily. They're all sort of randomly scattered around. But it is lovely. I hope when we go back the anchorage will be a little less full. It was a bit packed today. But there are still boats out there. There's still a breeze.
We tend to anchor at about 5 o'clock so we can get out for a walk. And even this year with the COVID-19 restrictions, the best anchorages are quite full, often with boats owned by people who live here and have designed their own jetties.
It's a pretty useful tree.
They are a feature.
Yeah, it is, look.
It's a cement rooted tree.
But it's quite useful. Look, I mean, you can tie your boat up here, come here.
Hang your towel up.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Hang your towel up.
maybe it is, yeah.
Fishing bucket.
They've got proper bollards for tying up.
Exactly, it's just a marker so you know where it is. I think it was once painted white, it's faded a bit, but it lets you know where to come so you can tie up.
It's not just for hanging your trunks.
Well, you can do that as well. Look, hang your Speedos on here. Perfect.
Don't need a big one like that for the speedos. Like speedos could go on there.
There's also signs of possible farming going on here, and goats.
Yeah, look, see?
It looks like you're drinking salt
That is
water.
so drinking salt water. Look.
They do not drink salt water.
What's he doing then?
I think someone must come every day and give them fresh water and maybe milk them.
The boy goats.
I think maybe kill the odd one every now and again to eat them,
Oh no.
I'm afraid.
A slow sail to the next anchorage, which we know is quite narrow and deep. That means a bit of med mooring. We have a handy reel of webbing for this, and I bravely send Steve and Millie out to the shore.
We're there, we're there.
I'm going right in the middle of the tree. The aim is too good. Go around the tree.
Oh!
Oh, we've got plenty there, haven't we?
Yeah. You've got it, you've got it.
I've got it.
Oh! Pull, pull! Superhuman strength. Moving the enormous boat.
It's amazing you can pull 26 tons when it's on the water.
Don't give it away, Dad, don't give it away. Here she comes.
Reel her in.
The hidden hazard. Loads and loads of urchins. Absolutely everywhere.
Job done, time for a play in the water.
You got to get all the way to shore.
Oh gosh, I need to stop because I'm going to step on an urchin.
Yay.
Light winds again the next day and time to absorb the Croatian way of life. More villages on the hillside, slow sailing, and lots of lighthouses.
Do you think there's a man that lives in there?
Well, there's loads of them everywhere, so there'd be a lot of men, a lot of lighthousemen, so maybe not. Maybe the guy that's got the farm down there comes along. I think the impressive thing around here is not just the amount of lighthouses, which is impressive. It's, you see the top of the hill there, just behind it, that's a 3G mast. Because we've had
They've got
phone...
better signal here than they do at home.
Yeah, they really have. Everywhere you go, we're miles away from anywhere, you get proper phone signal, don't you?
There are also shipping lanes here, so with such light winds we decide to motor. And that's when we notice steam from the exhaust. As we reach the anchorage, the engine gets quite hot, so we drop the anchor quickly.
Got it?
I've got most of it out. There's some little crustaceans that are right inside. You can poke them out and bits fall out, but I don't know if that's enough to stop it. I might have to have a look at the impeller as well. Let's see, if one more go. And we might start her up and see what happens.
Little critters camping out in our seawater intake. Starting the engine still showed a lack of water flow, so the next day Steve braved the heat of the engine room to assess the damage.
Okay, do we know what's wrong yet?
Just about to find out. Actually, that's the cover. I mean, we've run out of options in that as soon as we found the steam coming out and the overheating, it's obvious because of the steam that there's not the flow going through, so it's boiling some of the seawater. So that's either down to the strainer, and there was some stuff in the strainer, and that probably leads to, if you've got the bad flow, what happens is these impellers, you have the impeller that is your water pump. It's a sort of a brittle bit of plastic, which I'm just about, a bit of rubber, which I'm about to pull out. And the good thing about, if it's fallen apart, is it's easy to pull out, and it has indeed fallen apart. That is all that's left of it. So all the veins, these are bits that stick out, all the veins here come off. Once it overheats, they just fall apart. So if you ever have a slight overheating or forget to open the seacock or something like that for a few minutes, really, you know they're going to be toast, and take them apart. So we can just put a new one in, but I will have the pleasure at some stage of taking the intercooler off and trying to find all the bits, because they're all going to be in there. I can reach some with my fingers just on the inside here, but some of them would have got into the cooler, and I'm going to have to try and find them all. Really, yesterday, as soon as you saw that steam, I should have just put the sails up and sailed slowly and tried to take it all apart. But it's so hot in here. It's hot now, and it's been cooling down all night. But yeah, wasn't that appealing. So yeah, that's fine. We'll get it now. We'll put a new one in, and we can get going.
In the end, there were just 3 small pieces missing, to be found another day. Millie looks worried, and that's because the sea is getting a little choppy. Time for some tactical sailing.
Rather than have them rocking us from side to side. Sadly, that means we're going in the wrong direction.
And it has variable success as a tactic.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of sail out as we turn. That should steady us. Put it all out. Around a little bit, just so.
Yep.
Put it out.
We weren't the only ones battling the elements, which included my favourite, another shallow gap to get through.
6.5.
Luckily, it didn't last long, and we were back sailing. We are headed to Pula Harbour, one of the best natural harbours in Croatia, where we're planning a rare overnight stop in a marina. The marina itself has a diverse history. To the west, a massive shipyard originally built for the Austro-Hungarian Navy, it's since been home to Italian, German, Yugoslav and now Croatian ships. But that's nothing compared to the history to the east. A Roman amphitheatre with a 360-degree wall still standing, a rare ancient monument. After dinner, we decide to take a look. This amazing limestone structure was built over 2,000 years ago, and tonight it's hosting films from the Pula Film Festival in a spectacular display of old and new technology. Sadly for us, you need tickets to get inside. The next night, as we left Croatia for Venice, it appeared the light show continued. In fact, these coloured dinosaurs are cranes from the shipyard. Once out, we had a good night crossing. A gentle rocking putting one crew member to sleep. then breakfast and sunrise.
I lay there for ages thinking I'm never going to sleep, and then next thing I woke up.
Just before we arrive in Italy, Millie does the honours changing flags.
That's a good thing about an Italian flag, can't be upside down, can it?
Yeah. There?
All the way to the top.
Then begins a trip I have always wanted to make, sailing into Venice. Our destination and our winter marina is on the island of Certosa. The journey takes about half an hour through a myriad of waterways and little islands. Beautiful. Isn't it lovely? We moored on the visitors' dock ready for our ride to the airport for coronavirus testing. We were all negative, so moved on to our permanent position in the marina, which is where Fair Isle is now. I left early in the morning for a brief trip back to the UK. Like everything else around here, the journey to the airport is again by boat.
Okay. This has got to be one of the most iconic places you can sail into. It is utterly beautiful. Even when we came in on that grey day, the rare grey day, it's been beautiful ever since, it was still stunning. And we really are looking forward to exploring a little bit more on the boat around here. There's some places you can go to within the lagoon and a little bit more along the coast of Italy before we settle down for the winter. But what a place to settle down. From here, we're looking across there to Venice Island itself. And Murano is behind me. Murano is the island, if you know it, that does all the lovely glassware here. It's all very close within the lagoon. And actually we can catch a vaporetto, a water bus from the end of the island here just along the walkway, which will take us to St Mark's Square in about 10 minutes. So it's really accessible, really nice. And that is one of the fantastic things about being on your boat in one place for a bit. If you're not sailing in the tropics, you're sailing somewhere with a winter, then you're liable to have some sort of lay-up time. And actually that's good because one, you get your jobs done, and two, you really do get to know the place. And when you're living on board, you don't feel like a tourist, you really get to know the inside track on places. So we look forward to showing you a little bit more of Venice through this winter and finding all the lovely places that we find. So thanks for watching, see you next time.